the word that antidepressants have been linked to 28 reports of murder, 32 cases of murder thoughts, and cases referred to the UK medicine regulator over the past 30 years. We revel in wonder today. The BBC programme Panorama has researchers discovered a link between murder and antidepressants in cases referred to the MHRA. Professor Peter Tyler, a psychiatrist at the Imperial College London, has been assessing the performance of SSRIs since they were first introduced in the 1980s. Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence and Avondale, was a nephew of Queen Victoria and was guilty of taking advantage of his pleasures as the next man. There is a theory he sent a letter to his confederate in London to initiate the various stages of culling of a degraded city. Postulations centre around him reassuring himself that the only difference between his friends and him was that he felt he was aware of the disgusting nature of modern industrialisation and leisure. Eventually it would lead to the downfall of organic solidarity itself. The letter is supposed to contain instructions containing the writing of a further letter to the press of London East End. Then it would go to Scotland Yard itself. It was a letter that would shock the world forever.
I went down to St. James Infirmary, saw my baby there. She was stretched out on a long white table, so cold, so sweet, so fair.
In relation to the recent Panorama programme on the BBC, the question is how much of the awful instances are related to these drugs and how much to outside influences. The programme also looked into claims that the Batman movie killer James Holmes, who killed 12 people at a midnight premiere cinema screening in Colorado in 2012, was taking the SSRIs Sterlin at the same time of the murders. The drugs he was taking seemed to remove his inhibitions, it was found, eventually making him psychotic. Are we to look more closely at the effects popular fiction has over our postmodern drug-make senses as a result? It must be remembered, though, that such serial killings are made in thoughts and ideals held within the mind of public, even famous minds. The Crays, for example, are well known throughout history as being psychotic and pathologically insane, in particular Ronnie. If it was not for the well-known influence of their muddly upbringing, we would never have got a decent handle on their fractured thinking. In the 1980s, the Hungerford massacre was all over the headlines. The understanding at the time was that he was schizophrenic, a result of muddly adoration and contempt for society at the time. His liking for hand weapons is thought of stemming from social media, resulting in such behaviour as he showed. Philip Lombardo, an eminent psychologist, hit upon the theory of what he called the demonising effect. In February 2008, he explored this theorem further in Monterey, California, at a lecture entitled What Makes People Go Wrong. In this he states that this depersonalisation effect was apparent in Iran only a few years previously, when military prisoners were abused by American soldiers who softened their minds for interrogation. This is just the same as the de-individualisation by the main military environment. Can this concept be related to Stanley Morgan's experiment? Examining obedience? Certainly there can be no similarity between the reality of human conflict and the stable environment of laboratory conditions. For one thing, there is no historical motivation involved in the obedience experiment, and the time factors involved were so widely different from any comparison centered in the realm of fiction. His breakdown of identity, though, through institutionalization, can be seen quite a lot. In this particular instance, he took female participants and asked them to deliver shots to another girl as part of a learning experiment. One group of participants wore bulky clothing and hoods, which covered their faces, and were not called by name, but placed in a darkened room, so dehumanizing them, making them numbers rather than people. The second group wore their normal attire as well as big name badges and placed in a brightly lit room. The shots delivered by the hooded group were twice as severe as those given by the other group, thus demonstrating the power of individuality. This power is particularly notable in one of the most famous cases of the 19th century. It was 1888 when the letter was sent to the Central News Agency citing responsibility for one of the most outrageous crimes imaginable. It read, "Dear boss, so now they're saying me yid. When will they learn? Dear old boss, you and me know the truth, don't we? Lusk and look forever. He'll never find me, but I'm right under his nose all the time. I watch them looking for me, it gives me fits. I love my work and I shan't stop till I get buckled, and even then, watch out for your old pal Jackie. Catch me if you can. Jack the Ripper." Sorry about the blood. Still messed from the last one. What a pretty necklace I gave her. It is an interesting note, but is it genuine? Some books written think that Jack might be dying with in fact wealthy Liverpool merchant James Maybrick, but it's not taken very seriously, as this shows bias towards the drama that the case has had for 120 years and the need to look at other instances. The case for Maybrick being the Ripper seemed almost certain by Dan Fast in 1959, upon his discovery of a man who claimed to have remembered a pamphlet being distributed in Australia around 1890, entitled "The East End Murderer by Newton." Although there was great evidence with which to prove his guilt, Peter Turnbull in his book "The Killer Who Never Was" has the idea that the Ripper was a product of simple sensationalism and mass circulation of the press. Of course, the most famous of the lot, and an opinion that has been hyped and speculated on with increasing excitement, is the involvement of Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence and Avondale, grandson of the reigning monarch, Queen Victoria. This opinion was examined by Dr. Thomas Stowell, who in 1970 published an article in Criminologist called "A Solution." Again, drama rears its ugly head. Sewell used private papers of Sir William Gull as primary source material throughout his article. The killer was referred to as S, but there was enough private evidence to identify the prince as his chief culprit, especially as it was proven fact that he was in Scotland at the time of the Catherine Eddowes murder at least. It would also be considered that he was ill health at the time. He died in 1891-92 of the influenza epidemic of the time. He could, of course, have had an accomplice in the streets of London doing his work for him. A high contender for this instance being Montague John Druitt, who was another such suspect and the second son of a medical practitioner, although he was discovered drowned in the Thames River on the 31st of December 1888. However, in 1903, Detective Inspector Frederick Aberline stated to the Pall Mall Gazette, "Scotland Yard is really no wiser on the subject than it was 15 years ago." So we are left in the 21st century with an overwhelming sense of depersonalization, such as Lombardo thought of all those years ago. As such, many get up in the morning and wonder why we don't go out and commit such atrocities on a regular basis. Perhaps not. We don't all feel the need to wear a pretty necklace all the time or get others bucked for our own amusement and retribution of the corrupt nature of the world around us. Do we?
Fleeing from an honour that's ours, acting our own small powers, our history has left us due.
It was with great sadness that I set about the next retrospective rumours. Having looked at the modern education process for some years, I began to realise it was faltering. iPads and tablets seem to have replaced actually giving a child a book to occupy them, and the advent of mass media seems to have replaced any desire for further learning through word of a page even further. No one knows anymore where legends or prominent fiction comes from, and such stories and accomplishments have been distorted through popular media as to be unrecognisable. I look at why this might be, and found myself enlightened as to what I found. I'm in the middle of Pembury days, but you can't even see my face. Well, how about that? How's about? I can't even talk properly either. That's the main problem with it. See, you can't talk properly. Right, now I'm gonna find another segment, another place to put this bloody thing. It's just honestly, literally, honestly, I'm going here. I'm going to where the fuck I'm going. Right, up here. Here we go. This is the question. How the hell is it gonna? I mean, this is meant to be private land, for God's sake. Look at this fucking ground. Right, now here I am on the main drag here. Got no idea where I'm going. Look at me like I'm strange or something, which I am actually strange to some small degree, but that's no thing, is it, really? I just got caught by the cavers. God, I'm a bad boy.
Beautiful.